Welcome to the Vibrantly You podcast. We're your hosts, Megan Martineau
and Caitlin Cipriano. In this podcast, we talk about fitness and nutrition on your motherhood journey. Whether you are trying to conceive, pregnant, postpartum, or beyond, you are welcome here.
Nothing is off limits, and our goal is to support you in this important season of life so that you can feel vibrantly you. As a reminder, this information is not medical advice. Please see the show notes for more details.
Welcome back to the Vibrantly You podcast. Today, we're really excited to have Caitlin Perry of Core Connections Bodywork. She is a mom of 2 kids and a massage therapist that specializes in abdominal therapy and traditional Chinese medicine. And she also teaches abdominal massage to other body workers and birth workers. So, hi, Caitlin, welcome. First off, can you tell us a little bit about how you came to specialize in abdominal therapy and what that all looked like?
Yeah. Thank you for having me on your podcast. I'm really excited to be here. So when I first went to massage school, I wasn't considering that I would specialize in abdominal massage. I went to school at a place that was all Chinese medicine based. So in Chinese medicine, working with the abdomen is just a really normal part of a massage bodywork experience and was just integrated into my education really naturally. That's pretty unlike most massage schools that they maybe brush over a little bit of abdominal work, but don't really talk about how to include it into your session or anything like that. So most massage therapists don't really feel that confident with doing abdominal massage. But since it was in my schooling, I just offered it to every single person, just like how you would offer massaging someone's back during a session. And then people started sending referrals to me for abdominal related things like digestion, menstrual pain or cramps or something, all kinds of abdominal stuff. And I just slowly started niching into abdominal work. So that's how I really got started. And then I've been just taking more variety of classes to add to that, my initial education in massage.
I think it's so cool. It's such a needed area, but not one that I think most people know about. I did not know that this was a thing until I found you and found your work. So I think that it's so applicable for the time period that Meg and I talk about and focus on, which is that perinatal period. Can you talk about did you get into this a little bit more after having your own kids and how abdominal therapy kind of ties into that period specifically?
Yeah, I would say that it did have an influence of me kind of going in that direction more, having my own kids. But mostly it was just working with other people and seeing the benefits that they were seeing. And yeah, working with a lot of new moms, but also working with people trying to conceive and supporting them in their journey in that way. All of that, just seeing the benefits is really what drove me towards it. One way that I think my postpartum journey, I didn't really get all of the abdominal massage that I recommend to my clients and to people who, to people in general, because it's not really offered that much. So I can do it to myself, but it's kind of difficult sometimes to find the practitioners. And my first baby, I just wasn't really sure about what to do postpartum and the best things to do. my second baby, I was really excited when I first found out that I was pregnant to like do it differently and have all of these healing modalities after. And then COVID happened and like everything was shut down. And so I didn't really get to do it then either. But then I'd say 2 or 3 years after having him, I got an abdominal massage, and the results were very interesting and unexpected, and definitely really healing. I had been thinking about being a surrogate. Um, I really personally don't want to have more kids, but I wanted to experience pregnancy before again and be able to provide that to other parents. And when I got the abdominal massage, I realized that the biggest drive for me wanting to be a surrogate was to be able to heal again postpartum. And that abdominal massage kind of helped me heal from what I hadn't gotten in my postpartum time, my fresh postpartum time for I'd say both babies. So yeah, it can be really powerful in unexpected ways.
Yeah, I love that. So with postpartum, I know that Caitlin and I hear from like our clients, even just people on social media, that like we need more support with postpartum healing. And I know that Caitlin went to you for postpartum, like SI joint stuff and things that she was dealing with postpartum. So how can this abdominal massage and therapy help postpartum moms, and like how soon can they go to you newly postpartum? Like what are the benefits, and like what typically does that, look like? Especially like even just walking through like someone who's like, I don't really know what this is, but like I'm hearing that it could be beneficial. Like what could I expect, going like newly postpartum?
Yeah, so I usually tell my clients that or people who are interested in abdominal massage, that they can start whenever they feel comfortable and ready. For the most part, an abdominal massage session for a postpartum client or for anyone isn't going to be full abdominal for the full 60 or 90 minutes. So it's a really holistic, whole body treatment. It doesn't mean that I always massage every single body part, because that can be hard to do without just skimming over everything. But it is a holistic treatment. Abdominal massage for the postpartum time is really focused on just nourishing the body and helping the body transition into this new role. And at that point, the organs are just shifting pretty intensely. So just allowing the body to integrate the natural processes that are happening. And then also it depends on like what the birth was like. So for people who've had cesarean births, that is a major abdominal surgery, and it's not quite always treated as such. There's not very much rehab that is built into our medical system around cesarean births. So getting abdominal massage can be really helpful in healing from C-sections. And just in general, after giving birth, you're just so open up to like the outside world, and getting massage after on the abdomen by someone trained in doing it and who knows what they're doing can just kind of like help close that back up and help your body feel more aligned, powerful, ready to heal and take care of your new baby and other babies if you have them.
Yeah, that honestly sounds amazing. And actually, so for my first birth, I had a C-section. So kind of like what you were saying, there's no rehab, right? Like really no guidance given. And I always hear from other people too, just like how they're numb for so long, or like they have just a lot of like sensitivity in that area. People have a lot of scar tissue there too. And like even for me, geez, over 5 years since my C-section. And even I still notice, there's some like adhesions there and things like that. For someone who's had a C-section, would it ever be too late to, get the benefits from abdominal massage?
No, and I think that goes for anyone postpartum, no matter how they gave birth, there's not going to be a too late kind of situation. Um, and yeah, I'd say for C-sections in particular, one thing that's interesting and that I work with a lot is the fluid that is between your organs, and that fluid is what allows your organs to be able to move up against each other. Anytime that you're open, so this goes for any abdominal surgery, anytime that you're open via getting surgery, there's air coming in from the outside that's going to dry up some of those fluids. So then instead of having these fluids that allow the organs to be able to move up against each other, there's areas where they get kind of stuck, and your organ mobility, which is very important, is goes away in some parts. We call them restrictions. So there's areas of restriction. So that can happen, always does happen for any kind of abdominal surgery. So not even just exactly where the scar is, it's good to be able to like kind of move those fluids, and that's part of the circulation that we're trying to get back after a C-section and even after birth, because just regular birth can do that too. Just areas where organs get kind of like restricted together and can't move as well. It can even happen, it does even happen after laparoscopic surgeries, because they're filling your abdomen with air or gases, so that their tools can get through and they can see what they're doing.
Wow, yeah, that's so cool. And like, I had no idea about the fluid thing. Like, you always hear about like adhesions, restrictions, scar tissue, but I feel like no one ever actually like explains what's actually going on, with your organs, like how you just described it. I've never heard that before. Have you, Caitlin?
Not always like specifically in that manner. I think like you visually explained
Yeah.
that like process very well. And so can you like walk us through how during a session, if someone is experiencing, some common postpartum experiences like the scar tissue or adhesions from a C-section, or maybe diastasis recti, or even just like digestion issues in that time frame. Like, what are you like looking for and like helping aid in that process?
Yeah, so I come at it kind of from two different schools of thought that intersect in different ways. Um, but I have a background in Chinese medicine, like I said, and then I also have been studying visceral manipulation. So Chinese medicine is a little, they're just different systems of medicine. Visceral manipulation is more based on Western anatomy, whereas Chinese medicine is getting more to like your constitutional root causes of certain symptoms that you're having. So I do a blend. It depends on if the person's symptoms seem more like they have this like deeper constitutional root cause type of thing that's happening. Then I will lean more heavily on the Chinese medicine stuff, more like basic massage, acupressure. I do some cupping and moxibustion. Moxibustion is the burning of an herb called mugwort. It's a heat therapy that's really targeted. And then if it seems very more like acute physical or even chronic physical, but seems very like being held very physically, then I lean more towards the visceral manipulation side and kind of get really targeted and precise in where these restrictions are and where needs to be released. And then there's times where I do a pretty even blend.
I think it's so nice. Like, right, like you're taking the two like pieces that you're trained in and like blending them together. And Meg and I kind of like do this when we talk about fitness and movement too, right? Like there's maybe a more like strong evidence-based like Western train of thought, but then there's also these like really nice holistic practices from different cultures that are appropriate to be brought in to help support the individual. And so I think that's such a nice way to be like held and cared for as an individual. And I know you do that very well in your practice too. So it's just nice to see in other, again, like areas where women are in this time frame and space to have that kind of, physical support for their healing.
Yeah, definitely. And I would add that Chinese medicine and Western medicine, like, and it goes for a lot of traditional systems of medicine, we feel like they are just so different, and it can be hard to draw these similarities, but the more I've been studying them, I'm like, oh my gosh, that makes so much sense that like they're both saying the same exact thing, but in different ways. Um, so it's really cool to draw those comparisons.
Yeah, I think that's a great point. Like, it doesn't have to be one or the other, that they can work really well together and really just support people in that holistic way, like you were saying. One thing I wanted to circle back around to, you mentioned this in the beginning, but that this can also help with like menstrual cramps. And I know we're talking about like postpartum, but I know even postpartum people can have really bad postpartum periods and cramps, at least for the first couple of cycles. So how can the abdominal massage help with that?
Yeah, so kind of in similar ways, we're just releasing the restrictions that are causing your body to kind of tense up in certain areas or hold in different ways. And to bring it more to like a Chinese medicine place is which is where I often work when I'm working with menstrual cycle regulation. I look at like exactly what's happening with the menstrual cycles, like what the blood is like, what like the cycle length is like, what your symptoms are like, where the pain is, and like are there a lot of clots coming out? A lot of what is guiding your menstruation is the liver. So I work a lot with the liver when working with menstrual issues, and a lot with like the sacrum, low back, low abdomen. So yeah, we kind of think of it all kind of coming from the uterus, but the liver is a really big player in that, and so are the kidneys and some other organs too. They all work together. But often my job is to kind of like find which ones are kind of not in balance the best, and work with those the most.
Yeah, that's so cool. I love that. As someone too who has always kind of struggled with like bad cramps during my menstrual cycle. It's too bad I live so far away from you. I feel like I could personally benefit from that.
Where do you
Got to come
live?
to Vermont. I'm in North Carolina.
Okay, maybe I can find you someone there.
Yeah.
Um, I did want to just like ask, like, if someone is like looking for a practitioner that specializes in this and they're not in the central, Vermont sort of area, where is there like a network of other like practitioners that do practice abdominal therapy, or is this just like so niche? You just gotta like do your own do your own research.
Yeah, it's kind of hard because I think it is kind of a do your own research kind of thing. Um, I my philosophy is that, well, in my experience, I've personally experienced some abdominal massage that the person was not quite trained in it, and maybe I assumed that they were, and it was very deep. And so usually you want to make sure that the person, or always, you want to make sure that the person not only has training, but has done it. And there are some people who kind of have had more like theoretical training and then like kind of put on their website that they do it. Um, but you want to make sure that that's like actually something that they do and that they practice. Even if they're new at it, that's okay. But it you want to make sure that this is like the thing that this person is interested in. That's kind of not always very easy to determine, but yeah, there are different styles of abdominal massage. So the type I practice, I'd say, is a little different than a lot. You might see a lot of people who practice Mayan abdominal therapy, which is another good type. It's, from my understanding, a little more like womb centered. And then there is on the visceral manipulation website, if you're interested in that, the Barral Institute, Barral. There is a practitioner search engine there too. So that is very helpful. But visceral manipulation isn't necessarily massage, so you might find on that practitioner search, you might find PTs or occupational therapists or a variety of practitioners too.
That's super helpful. And I think I'm glad you brought up that like point because the style that you use is very like gentle an approach. It's not like deep. You're really like tuned in to like where is it is telling you that the restriction lies and how they're interconnected.
Yeah, and just a little more on that, like if you are ever getting an abdominal massage and it's hurting, you should tell your the practitioner. And if they say like, "Oh, it should feel like that," like that's a time to just kind of like stop the session, because it shouldn't. If it hurts and it's like, "Oh, I feel like." You're in communication with your practitioner and you're like, okay, well, does it feel okay to just go a little deeper and it just feels okay? Then that's one thing. But if it's just like oh yeah, I bet that hurts. That should, it should feel that way. That's like a kind of red flag that maybe you should listen to your body, and it can be really hard to tell someone to stop. But when you're working with like the organs and they're very important to not hurt. Um, and I was going to say something else about that, but oh yeah, when you like go deeper, too deep, too fast, it's your body's natural reaction, and especially your abdomen, because it's protecting your internal organs. It's its natural reaction to tense up. And so even if you're laying there and you don't feel it tensing up, if there's not sensitivity in the hands of the practitioner to notice that that's happening, then it's kind of not as effective of work. So having a skilled practitioner is important.
Yeah, I think that's really good advice to like make sure you're vetting the people that you're going to see. And like you said, just kind of watching out for those red flags, especially too if you are someone who is postpartum and you are still healing, like you want to feel like you're being heard and that you can like trust that person, right? Because that's also like a vulnerable time period to also be going and seeing someone and having them put their hands on your body and things like that. So you want to feel safe in that experience.
Yeah. And most people who like see me are always surprised. Like they think it's gonna hurt, possibly because they've just gone through so much, and they're always surprised at how like gentle and soothing and therapeutic it feels. So that's, I'm not saying that all that I said before to scare anyone, because if you find the right person, it's gonna feel great too.
Yeah, absolutely.
I think that's such a valid point because there are so many just like generalist sort of massage therapists that maybe do work more like just musculoskeletal, and it can be like painful. So people probably are maybe conditioned to think that, I'm having pain during this session, but it's supposed to be maybe painful, right? But it really shouldn't and doesn't have to be in order to release the tension or the restrictions from not only the abdominal space, but in other areas as well.
Yeah, definitely.
So, um, well, thank you so much. Where can our listeners connect with you and learn more about your work?
Yeah, I have a website. It is www.coreconnectionsvt, as in Vermont, vt.com. And yeah, you can find me there. There's contact information on my website. I have an Instagram too. That's at core under slash connections VT. I think that's it. Yeah. Um, and I work in Richmond, Vermont, and I have another practitioner that I've brought on, and she's working on Sundays. And she's just took my abdominal massage intensive level 1 and 2. So she'll be integrating that into her work as well.
That's awesome. Okay, we will drop all of that in the show notes so that people can find you. Anything else, Caitlin, we wanted to ask before we wrap up?
I don't think so. I think that was so, like, again, helpful and informative on an area that I personally haven't seen a lot talked about, but personally have found very beneficial. So I really appreciate like your time today to talk more about it so that we can connect our audience like with you and just around the topic in general. And so if people want to find out more information, again, we will link the website and Caitlin's Instagram in the show notes. And if you found this episode helpful, please feel free to share it with a friend and review the podcast. We'll see you guys next time.